There is a certain kind of person who walks into a room and immediately picks up on things nobody else seems to notice. The energy feels weird. Two friends are laughing, but somehow the laughter feels forced. Someone says, "I'm fine," and every instinct says they are not. Nothing obvious happened. No argument. No shouting. No scene. Yet, somehow, their brain already has 15 tabs open, trying to figure out what just changed. If that sounds familiar, you're not weird. You're not dramatic. And you're probably not imagining things. But there is something important you need to understand. Living this way can come with a price tag. Because when your brain becomes exceptionally good at detecting patterns, it can also become exceptionally good at detecting threats that may not even exist. And that's where the trouble begins. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of people who seem to notice everything, why some brains become wired this way, and how to stop your own mind from turning into detective agency. Let's get into it. First, where does this hyper-awareness even come from? Psychologists generally point to two major possibilities. For some people, sensitivity appears to be part of their natural temperament. Researchers studying sensory processing, sensitivity, have found that some individuals process information more deeply and react more strongly to emotional and sensory experiences. A crowded restaurant feels louder. A tense conversation feels heavier. A sad movie sticks with them for days instead of hours. Their nervous system simply processes experiences differently from the world around them. It's less like receiving more information and more. Like your brain refuses to use the fast forward button. But for many others, hyper-awareness may become a survival strategy. Psychologists call this hypervigilance. And hypervigilance often develops in environments where unpredictability was normal. Picture a kid growing up in a house where moods changed without warning. Maybe one day, everything felt calm. The next day, someone came home angry. The rules changed depending on the emotional weather inside the house. Children adapt fast. They become experts at reading facial expressions, experts at detecting tone of voice, experts at figuring out whether now is a safe time to speak or whether it's smarter to stay quiet. Their brain learns an important lesson: pay attention or pay the price. Over time, the brain's threat detection systems can become highly sensitive. Brain regions involved in identifying threatening information begin reacting more. Eventually, the scanning becomes automatic. The child grows up. The environment changes, but the brain never gets the memo. Years later, they wondered, why do I overthink everything? Why can't I relax? Why am I always on edge when everyone else seems chill? The answer may be surprisingly simple. Their brain got really good at keeping them safe. It just never learned when the emergency was over. So what does this look like in everyday life? Sign number 1. Your brain is basically running background apps 24/7. Imagine your manager sends a message. Hey, can we chat tomorrow morning? That's it. No explanation. No details. For most people, that's a meeting. For an overly aware person, that's the beginning of a documentary series. What did I do wrong? Was my last project bad? Did I sound rude in yesterday's email? Should I start updating my resume? The brain starts connecting dots before there are even dots to connect. Research on rumination shows that some people become trapped in repetitive cycles of self-focused thinking. The brain keeps revisiting the same questions in search of certainty. The problem is that certainty almost never arrives. Meanwhile, your energy bill keeps going up because thinking is work. A brain running non-stop analysis burns through emotional fuel surprisingly fast. That's why some people feel mentally exhausted after spending the day sitting at a desk. Their body stayed still. Their mind absolutely did not. Then comes sign number 2. You don't just experience emotions. You monitor them. Psychologists call this metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. Normally, that's useful. It helps people reflect and make decisions. But sometimes, the volume gets turned all the way up. Instead of feeling sadness, you analyze sadness. Instead of feeling nervous, you investigate nervousness. You don't just get embarrassed. You perform a full forensic investigation on the embarrassment. Why did I say that? Did that joke land weird? Was that smile awkward? Did everyone notice? 3 days later, your brain suddenly decides to replay the entire scene in HD. Because apparently that is what we are doing now. The result is that life starts feeling less like participation and more like observation. You're in the conversation. But another part is reviewing game footage. Eventually, you realize something uncomfortable. You were physically present, but mentally, you never actually arrived. Sign number 3. You stop taking words entirely at face value. You begin seeing motives everywhere. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes people really are hiding frustration behind politeness. Sometimes kindness really does come with strings attached. Human beings are complicated. But here's the trap. When your brain becomes excellent at spotting hidden motives, it starts assuming every interaction contains one. A compliment becomes suspicious. An apology feels incomplete. A favor feels transactional. Instead of hearing, "Great job," your brain hears, "Okay, but what's the catch?" You start reading between the lines so often that eventually the lines themselves disappear. And that creates a strange kind of loneliness, because trust becomes harder. Not impossible, just harder. Sign number 4. Your empathy never clocks out. You walk into a room and somehow pick up on the emotional atmosphere like a human. Wi-Fi receiver. Nobody says anything, but you sense 2 co-workers are irritated with each other. A friend says they're okay. Your gut says otherwise. Research on emotional contagion suggests that emotions can spread through groups in surprisingly powerful ways. Humans naturally mirror facial expressions, body language, and emotional states. A harmless sensation gets labeled as danger. The body responds with stress hormones. The stress hormones create stronger sensations. The stronger sensations convince the brain something must be wrong. And just like that, the anxiety loop is officially open for business. The body isn't malfunctioning. The alarm system is simply too sensitive. Then comes the final stage, the need for control. If you can predict every outcome, maybe nothing can hurt you. At least, that's what the brain hopes. So it starts running simulations. What if this relationship ends? What if this opportunity disappears? What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if everything falls apart? Psychologists sometimes refer to this as analysis paralysis. The mind becomes trapped, preparing for futures that haven't even submitted an application to reality yet. You end up living in 10 possible tomorrows, while missing the only day you're actually guaranteed to experience today. So, what do you do if this sounds exactly like you? But for highly aware people, the volume sometimes gets cranked way up. Someone else's anxiety enters the room, and suddenly, your nervous system starts acting like it got invited. 2. A friend tells you about a breakup. 3 days later, you're still carrying pieces of their sadness around in your chest. People appreciate this about you. They feel understood. They feel heard. They feel safe. But there is a downside. You slowly become everyone's emotional support system. Sign number 5. Your body starts joining the conversation. Psychologists use the term interoception to describe our awareness of internal body sensations. Heartbeat, breathing, muscle tension, stomach discomfort. Most people notice these signals occasionally. Hyper-aware people notice them quickly and often. A second cup of coffee speeds up your heartbeat. Your brain immediately goes, so, are we panicking now or what? The answer isn't becoming less aware. That probably isn't happening anyway. The goal is learning discernment. Learning what deserves your attention and what doesn't. 3 ideas can make a huge difference. First, not every silence is a message. Sometimes people are busy. Sometimes they're tired. Sometimes a delayed text is literally just a delayed text. Crazy concept, I know. Second, not every feeling needs a full investigation. Sometimes anxiety is just anxiety. Sometimes a fast heartbeat is caffeine. Sometimes your brain is simply doing what brains do, creating stories. Third, not every problem belongs to you. You can care about people without carrying people. You can understand emotions without adopting them. You can offer support without becoming the unpaid therapist. Boundaries aren't cruelty. Your mind is not your enemy. For many people, it learned these skills for understandable reasons. Now it just needs to learn something new. That safety and vigilance are not the same thing. And maybe, just maybe, life becomes a little lighter the moment you stop trying to solve every mystery. If any of these signs felt familiar, Drop a comment below with the one that hit closest to home. And if someone came to mind while watching this, send it their way. Because sometimes the people carrying the heaviest mental load are also the people who make it look effortless. Thanks for watching. Take care of your mind. It spends every day taking care of you.